Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Money Stop. Happy Wednesday night here on the East Coast. We're in Bristol, technically, but happy Wednesday night, everybody. Welcome into the Money Stop. I am once again joined by my co host, Laner.
Hello, everybody.
And we have no issues this week. Woohoo! No issues. We smooth sailed onto the episode tonight, so I'm very very grateful for that. Um, just a couple minor things behind the scenes with OBS that I think OBS just hates me, but um, that's besides the point. We are on the air, so no worries about anything else. Um, Hope everybody's doing good though. We had an interesting past weekend here. With the races at Richmond. They were very, very exciting, full of action packed racing. We're going to dive into it in just a second. Um, Want to share a personal story before came on the air. The reason we were a little late, I know we've been a little late the past couple of episodes, but got a got a toll violation in the mail today. I live in New Jersey, so they love to send some violations in the mail. Um, and I got a double violation in the mail today, but paid it off and it's good now. But that was a nice thing to come home to. Um, so yeah, but just thought I would share that. I know Laner and I were talking about it just before we got on the air, so um, if any of you plan on calling me out, you can call me out. Yeah, I went through the toll without enough funds, whatever. Anywho, um, so we're going to talk about Richmond. Then we're going to talk about Lego, because I think Lego is a big part in this past weekend. Um, you know, I know that this past weekend was huge for him. So we're going to talk about him. We'll go over the points, do some pump the gas at the brakes. We'll do some power rankings, and we have a double header to look forward to this weekend. So um, before we talk about any of that, I want to let Laner talk about this for a minute because I know this has like been developing the last few days. Um, but apparently people have been getting banned on the platform and for various reasons, but um, they're all tying back to, I guess, like scheme making. I'm pretty sure that's like the
Yeah.
main reason people are getting banned. Um, and We're finding out very quickly that alternates are not working. But the plan for now is to go ahead with the races as planned for this weekend and ahead. Looking forward. I don't know if Laner, maybe you wanted to touch on anything else based on the announcement that you and IC just put out, but feel free to.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very fluid situation, definitely, because it seems like things are changing every day. I know last week, whenever the 600 was, I don't exactly recall. Wendigo had like a 7-day ban, and then he gets access to his account again, and then he gets permanently banned. And now
Yeah.
Craig has got a 7-day ban, and hopefully he doesn't also get permanently banned. I really have no idea what's going on. It's really confusing. It seems like Roblox is just deciding all of a sudden to moderate assets that are years old at this point.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean it's really a confusing situation. But the reason that we kind of put that announcement out is just because this is now the second driver with Craigus, and also Wendigo still is not able to get on the platform. It's two drivers now. We can't really reschedule races every time a driver gets moderated, just because if this ends up being the new norm, we're just never going to get the season done. And it really is unfortunate because we don't like seeing people miss races, but we also do have to try to get the season done in a timely manner as well. So
Yeah.
it's really an unfortunate situation just all around, honestly.
And the most unfortunate part in all of this too is Craigus is still the points leader effectively as of right now. So, after this weekend, that's going to change. Um, Unfortunately, because he is a part of that group. of drivers that can't race, but that points lead is very close right now. Um, and I just think that I honestly think that, if this isn't cleaned up very soon, you know, this could be the end of his season. Um, and I just think like that team has had such a great season so far. They've been so consistent. Really have knocked the ball out of the park in these first several races. But if they can't get back into it, then it's kind of like it was almost for nothing this season. You know?
Yeah, and I don't know if I would say the end of the season. I mean, maybe the end of the regular season, just because I don't know if he'll have enough time to get back into it. But I still
Yeah.
think, assuming he doesn't get permanently banned, he'll still be a contender for the championship.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, if he can return after two races, he might not be out of the regular season title just because he'll get the DNF points. So he might be looking at around 50 to 60 point gap. Um, but that's also, we don't know. Maybe Land goes back to back and wins both races, and then the gap is just huge. So there's
Mm.
still a lot of things that could happen. We don't really know what the gap will look like. I think it'll really depend on how well Land does these two races.
Yeah, it's going to be very heavily dependent, I think, and it'll be interesting to watch. We will talk about the points a little later, and how maybe this ban will affect some drivers, but also be an opportunity for some drivers to take advantage of. So we'll talk about that in just a couple minutes here. But first, let's talk about Richmond. So we had the Richmond race this past weekend. Um, one by no other man than Lego. Um, the race was very weird. Um, started out very started out very normal with a couple drivers taking the lead and getting out to an early lead. um, then we had some cautions and um, a lot of bumping and banging with each other. um, and then like there was like some different lead changes. Like I don't know, I feel like once Parker and Craigus got lapped down, that was like the end of their chances at winning the races. But it was definitely like their race to win, I think. They definitely had the cars to beat all night long. It's just very unfortunate that things turned out the way that they did. Um, but I mean, things worked out in Lego's favor at the end. Him and I were 1 and 2, and I made a mistake, um, and we ended up getting together off of 4, and he ended up driving off with the lead, and Land past me, could not pass him. So, um, just wanted to give again a congratulations. I know I said congratulations after the race, but congratulations to Lego. Huge win, first win of his career, and it's been a long time coming. So, just really happy for him, and I think this is one of many to come.
Yeah, I think this was a win that Lego needed, just to kind of get the confidence. I mean, he did really well in the preseason, but he needed to win a points race just to prove to himself more than anything, I think, that he's capable of doing it. And now that he has this one, I think we will see more follow. Just because now he's done it. So I think the momentum will start to roll. And it seems like whatever lag issues he was dealing with early in the season have definitely improved. In terms of the racing for Richmond, though, I definitely agree. I think Parker and Craigus had the best cars. Um, as much good thing as we say about Craigus, I will say one concerning thing with that team is that they just make questionable calls sometimes.
Yeah.
I can't exactly recall. There was one other race this year that he made a really questionable pit road decision, and I think he ended up a few laps down in that race too. I That's the only thing. Like in the chase, these points are going to matter a lot. So I don't know if I can fully trust that team to make the correct pit calls whenever the points are on the line in the chase, because like I don't know, just taking two tires at Richmond just that just didn't make sense to me. And I
Not at
think
all.
that
Yeah.
ultimately is what costed him the win because I mean, I don't know for sure, but he definitely would have been up there. Um, so yeah, I think Craigus and Parker had the best cars, but really it we kind of touched on it after the race, but it was just really a track position race. I mean, you couldn't really pass that much
Yeah.
throughout the field because the dirty air was kind of rough. So if you got the
Yeah.
track position, you were really in good shape.
Yeah, and to go off of your point, I think the two-tire call was what killed his race, honestly. If you and I were to have a
100%.
conversation,
Yeah.
yeah. I honestly think that that was probably the worst call of the race, was
Oh
taking 2
yeah.
tires. Um, Richmond is always a place you should go with 4 tires. No matter if we were on this version or the other version, it's easy to notice that you're burning off the tires in the corners by braking so much. You have to slow the car down so much. You are burning those tires so quickly. Um, so I just think like the call to take 2 tires when you know you were one of the fastest cars on track all day is a little reckless. Um, you know, I'm not gonna hold back on that because it was that was I honestly think that that could have been a better call. Um, and you know, it's one of those calls that unfortunately left them kind of down in the rankings, but I think they learned their lesson not to do that for the next time that we head to a short track like behind us.
Yeah, I don't exactly remember like how things unfolded in the race, but I remember he took 2 tires and then the whole field passed him, so he was running
Yeah,
last place.
he dropped like a
And he was
rock.
close to getting lapped. And then I think he pitted again, and then from that point things just kind of snowballed into him going all the way to I think 3 laps down at one point.
Yeah,
So the 2 tire call is what started his day just going terribly wrong. If he didn't make that 2 tire call, I think he would have probably stayed on the lead lap and never would have gone any laps down. Towards the end of the race, I think he was still a lap down, so he really wasn't able to recover. I don't exactly remember what happened to Parker. Like, I don't remember why he wasn't up there at the end of the race. I don't know if you
um,
remember, but I really don't.
yeah, I do. He, I believe, crashed because he lagged.
Oh, right, that's right,
He
because he
crashed on
had
the
a
back
pretty good
stretch.
lead. Yeah, and then
Well,
yeah.
here's my thing, and I'll say this. This is my only 2 cents. Why did we wait a full lap to call the caution? That should have been an immediate caution. If he was sitting there with his screen frozen and he said something in the Discord chat, why was the caution never called?
And he was
Because
stopped in the middle of the track.
I understand, yes, it was a one car incident. Fine. But he didn't move. He didn't move, which means he was a track hazard. There should have been a caution called immediately. Um, and that to me, that infuriated me. Like during the race, I was infuriated because if that was any other car, I would have said the same shit. But like, you know, for him to sit there for half a lap and then wait a full lap for the caution to come out, created this whole other controversy with Craigus, which never needed to happen had it just been called immediately, you know?
And he
Um,
went a lap down, right? From that.
yeah, something like that. It was like 2 laps down or he went a lap down,
Yeah.
but that screwed over the rest of his race, that moment right there. So, I think that there needs to be a little more, better officiating, definitely, at the booth box, whatever you wanna say, I don't know. The officiator's box, slash commentary box. I think there needs to be a little better, awareness of what's going on around the track, just 'cause that was an easy caution, and waiting that long was it was BS, you know? It definitely did not need it didn't need to take a rocket scientist to figure that out, that there needed to be caution. So,
Yeah, and I
those
mean,
are my 2 cents. I'm putting that to rest, you know, I wanted to get that out, though.
it potentially costed him a win too, because
Yeah.
if I remember correctly, I don't think he ended up on the lead lap at the end of the race. I think he stayed a lap down. Um, so yeah, I mean, if I was Parker, I would be pretty PO'd about that.
Yeah.
I think Parker has just had some terrible luck this season. He's had speed everywhere we go, but something one way or another, just things don't line up for him.
Yeah.
I don't think he should get too discouraged though, because I definitely do think he's shown enough speed that if you keep showing speed like that every week, you're bound to win a race. I mean, you don't
Oh
just
yeah.
show that much speed and never win a race. So Parker doesn't really have anything to be discouraged about. Things will start lining up for him eventually.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I feel like everybody at one point was having, lag spikes here and there, but like that moment on the backstretch was like a race defining moment. Like that was what changed the entire outcome of the race, I think. Because it screwed both Parker and Cragis, the two fastest cars. So if that
Yeah.
didn't happen, I wonder what would have happened if maybe Parker would have gotten back up there and him and Cragis would have duked it out maybe for the win, and we'd be sitting here maybe Parker would have won the race instead of Lego, or Cragis would have 3 wins instead of 2. Um, but it's one of those things that just it leaves a sour taste in my mouth. I think not really a fan of what I saw from the officiating. I
Yeah.
don't I don't think the calls like for officiating have been that great this season either. I'll be completely honest. Um, I'm not in a I'm on a team role, so I'm not in a league role technically. So I can kind of speak out about this. I feel like, but it's just like I'm not enjoying the officiating calls. Like I don't understand quite what we're doing every week anymore. It feels like a shouting match kind of, and I think the officiator's box he needs to tone it down a bit, with both his behavior and um, his use of language. I think it needs to tone down a bit.
And I don't really think that, like, I don't think it's anything. It's We're not taking anything away from Lego's win whenever
Yeah,
we like say all this. I think like Lego was just, he took advantage of the circumstances, and
yeah,
sometimes when you win races, that's just what you have to do. I mean, you're not always going to win a race when you're the fastest car. Sometimes you'll lead one lap of the day and you'll win the race. It doesn't matter. A win's a win.
yeah.
So, I mean, still a lot of credit to Lego and that team for capitalizing on the circumstances and the unfortunate downfall of the two fastest cars of the day. Because whenever those two cars got taken out, really it was anyone's race to win. And the 44 team found a way to do it. So,
Yeah, and like again, props to Lego because he was getting chased down by a multi-time champion, and,
yeah.
and he did a great job holding him off. I know that Land has been like very critical of Richmond, but he also did a great job. Finishing second was really, really good. Good showing for the team, I think. Um, and you passed me right at the line, so I
Yeah, I
mean,
don't know what happened.
I
I
just
don't know.
I think I drove the tires off of it, so I was struggling towards the last like 5 laps, but it is what it is. I wish I finished one spot better, but it is what it is. I thought for a second, just for a split second, that maybe I had a shot at the win. Um, Felt like I had a short run car more than a long run car. Um, like on restarts, I was easily capitalizing on picking up spots, I think, when I didn't have any lag issues, which I think really worked out for me. But just as the run went on, it was not good. Um, but I mean, if it came down to like an overtime or like a green white checkered, I think I was on the second row. I think there could have been a shot for either one of us to make it a four-way battle for the win. So I don't know, but I I honestly think that Lego did a great job. Um, he doesn't give himself enough credit, I think, for how well he drives. Um, but he did a really really great job. I was really impressed.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's the first of many.
Oh yeah. It is the first of many for sure. Um, what did you make of the car and track combination? Did you think that there was one that was less than the other when it came to Richmond and this car specifically? Like, did this track work well compared to what you think maybe the old track would have worked well as? Or, um, you know, I think you know what I'm asking, but um, I don't know. What do you think?
Oh, we did the D2 race at a totally different Richmond model, and me, Land, Craigus, and Wendigo were the four, and maybe the IC was the other one. We
Mm,
were like the five cup drivers that did it. But I thought the way it raced was way better. Like in dirty air, you could actually make passes, and it was really enjoyable to me. We ended up switching because there were some problems with the lap times. It was kind of goofy, but
mm,
yeah, I wasn't too big of a fan of the way that this model raced. I think in dirty air it was kind of a little bit tough, but me and IC are trying to work on some dirty air packages where maybe we can remove dirty air at the short tracks, or at least have lower dirty air. Because I think really like that Richmond model we just ran would have been pretty decent with lower dirty air.
yeah,
But the dirty air just kind of killed it. So I don't really know if it's as much of a track issue as it is a car issue with the dirty air.
yeah. Um, do you think there was anybody that did not do as well as you thought they would do at Richmond?
Um, Not really that I can think of, honestly. I feel like everybody spent some time up front, if unless I'm thinking differently. But yeah, it seems like everybody kind of spent time running up front. Nobody was really like super far off pace.
Yeah, I thought I'd ask. I thought I'd throw it out there to see if you were thinking of anybody. Um, so with Lego's win, I'll use this as like my transition into the points, I guess. So with Lego's win, that bumps him up to fourth in the points. This is your full look at the points for this week. Craigus retains the lead up in first. Um, Land has closed the gap though to 2 points. Um, so uh, very much significantly closer than it was last week when we had talked to you guys last week. Laner, you're man. I'm sorry, you haven't moved, but like third place is still pretty good.
Yeah, I'm happy with it.
It's still a solid place to be. So I mean, you know, I would say just keep doing what you're doing. But um, I feel like besides that, I mean, Wendigo is effectively out, so he's gonna drop, um, which will open the door for somebody like Benji to come in. I think, um, and I think that as long as there's no other issues, permanent issues like Wendigo's in that top six, once Benji moves in, I feel like that top six will stay as is. Um, I don't foresee though any other issues besides that. I mean, maybe just points wise, but I don't know. Maybe you're looking at something I'm not. But
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, we do have a bye next week, so I mean,
mm,
we're really like Wendigo's just in the mercy of Roblox on that. Like, there's no way
yeah,
to predict. Like, we have no idea. Um, if he doesn't obviously get the appeal, yeah, I mean, he's gonna drop out. But in the case, like maybe I'm thinking with a bye week next week, maybe that gives him enough time to get in contact with somebody and I don't know, pull some strings. I don't know. That's kind of wishful thinking, but um, I don't think he would be out of it if he is able to get his access to his account again. But we can't predict that, obviously. So just going off of what we know, yeah, Wendigo would drop out, and I think Benji would take his place as the sixth chase driver. Which, in all all theory eliminates any points battle that we had for the chase. I mean, we pretty much already know who's going to make the chase, unless, of course, Wendigo is able to get back on the platform.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think, I mean, for now, Wendigo's out. I mean, he's so close to the cut line, as it is right now. Um, he can't afford to make mistakes even if he is racing this weekend. There's two more races coming up, and those are like very, very important. Because Parker like had a good weekend at Richmond. Like he had a good weekend. Um,
Yeah.
so regardless of how they finished, I think that they are finding something in their speed because he is starting to get faster. So, obviously, like let's say Wendigo didn't have his issues, I think Parker would still overtake him, and Wendigo seats sixth. He
Oh,
took the
yeah, I
last spot.
agree with that.
Yeah. Um, I mean, if he passes Lego, that might be possible. Those points are within reach, but um, I feel like anything's still possible right now. Um, but we definitely are getting a closer look at what we're working with for the chase.
And I mean, the troubling part for Craigus is going to make it totally fine, even with
Yeah.
missing the next two races. But the troubling part for Wendigo, even if he does hypothetically get his account back in time for the next race after the doubleheader, is that after this doubleheader, we're only going to have three races left
Hmm.
in the regular season. So, I mean, that's really not much time. Like, we're really close to the end of the season at that point. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, it would definitely be really tight on points.
Yeah, it would be. It really, really would be. Um, but I mean, gotta do what you gotta do, I guess.
And with the lower field sizes, I mean, Benji's all but guaranteed to make both races. So
Right.
Benji's also going to gain a lot of points these next two races. I know Wendigo will also get the DNF points, so that'll even things out a little bit. But I mean, if Benji goes, it's kind of the same thing with Landon Craigus. Like, if Benji goes out there and performs really well these two races, like, you know, he's kind of putting the pressure on him.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess we'll have to wait and see. Um, because we won't. I think after tomorrow's race, we'll get a better look at things. Because Bristol, like between tomorrow and Friday, like Bristol is going to be a very different story after tomorrow's race, with storylines and points and things like that. So I think there's going to be a lot of movements just with a lot of storylines going on right now. Um, but I think there's going to be a lot of movements in the points. Um, I don't know if Icy plans on racing tomorrow, but like I feel like effectively he's kind of out of it right now, but like it is a long shot. You know, he would have to make every single race,
He would probably need to win a race.
to even have a shot, But
Yeah.
yeah, he would definitely need to win a race, I think. Um, I think Jax had a shot, but with him just not attending as much, I think it's just not in the cards for him this
Yeah,
season. Um,
that was a confusing one to me because I thought Jax had the speed to possibly win a championship.
mhm,
He just didn't show up. I mean,
yeah,
plain and simple. He could easily be in the chase right now, like competing for the regular season title, but I don't know.
yeah. I don't really know. I don't know what's going on in his neck of the woods, but it's just one of those things where you snooze, you lose, I guess. Um, all right. Anything else you see in with the points, or do you want to move on?
No, I don't really think that there was anything else with the points.
Okay. All right. Let's move on then. Um, let's go to our hit the gas and pump the brakes segment now. So obviously, for the last several episodes now, we've been doing this hit the gas or pump the brakes segment of the episode where we just go through some prompts of what we think. Um, and, we're going to pump the gas, be affirmative about it, or hit the brakes. We're not very confident in that. So we have four new prompts this week. First one is here. So, oh yeah, and these are all ROCAR prompts. There's no NASCAR ones in here tonight, just as an FYI. All right, first one. We get a new winner before the regular season ends. I think we already accomplished that though. Um, but I mean, outside of the one we just saw this past weekend, I'm gonna pump the gas. I think Lego gave me the hope that I was like um kind of waiting on to see, if there could be a new winner that gets out there this season. And he gave it to me, but I also know that um Parker also has something to say this season. So I'm waiting for him to win a race patiently. And I know that there's some other folks in the field too. Um, like if Benji, out of nowhere comes out and wins a race, he could upset the points right there and kind of shock everybody. But I am going fully hit the gas with that one.
Yeah, I agree. I'm hitting the gas too. I would almost go as far as to say we get a new winner this weekend, one of these races, because I know Landa's going to race, and Land and Craigus have been the two dominant ones. But I think with Craigus being out of the field, it kind of opens the door a little bit.
Yeah.
Just because he's kind of ran away and dominated a lot of these races. So I think really anybody could win either of these two races. And yeah, I think about Parker a lot because I think Parker's been so close and he's still got five more races until the end of the season. So I feel like he'll win one of the next five. And I could also see Benji winning one. Um, or I guess that's pretty much it. Benji or Parker. So
And
yeah,
they could
I think
also
one of
win one
them.
in the chase too, They could
Yeah,
also win one there because those are completely different tracks too. So
yeah, we'll definitely get a new winner before the season ends.
yeah, yeah. I feel like that's something that is something that we can both agree on, just with kind of the parity that we've seen this season. Um, but I'm looking forward to seeing who can beat us to that um, challenge of being a new winner. Um, all right, next prompt. CFM gets a car into the playoffs, and again, pretty sure that's going to happen.
Yeah,
Um, Not definite right now, so that's why it's still a little bit of a waiting game. But I'm gonna obviously hit the gas. I think. I think it's pretty safe to say that Benji is at least gonna make it. With those other drivers, Jax is out. But he had a shot, I think. But Benji's like their last hope, I think. Um, so I'm pretty sure Benji's gonna make it. I'm not really that concerned. Um, Obviously, if something happens in the next like 24 hours that's like revolutionary, or within the span of like these next two races to the following race, if something revolutionary happens and he still does not make it, I'd be very surprised. But for now, I'm gonna hit the gas on
yeah. I think this would have been a lot more of a topic for discussion last week or 2 weeks ago,
it. Yeah,
um, with before Wendigo's situation. But this one's it's kind of boring now. I gotta hit the gas too, just because I don't really see any way he doesn't unless something happens with Wendigo's situation.
yeah. Um, there will be a new record for single driver wins. Pump the gas or hit the brakes. Did we already answer this one? I don't know if we
I
did.
think we did that one last week.
Did we do that one? Oh yeah, we did. We did. Sorry. Um, Let me see.
I think we did both of those last week.
We
The
did
last
both of
two.
those last week. All right. Well, I don't know. Let me just come up with two NASCAR prompts then. Um, hmm. Okay, I have one. What do you think? Okay, so the next gen car, I think the highest amount of wins we've had is 5, I believe, with a driver. Do you think that we've reached that record again? And do you think a driver surpasses that record this week or this season? I mean,
5 or more?
5 or more, a single driver. And
Uh,
if you had to pick one, who would it be?
I'm gonna pump the brakes.
Okay.
But if I did have to pick a driver, I feel like the only one that I could see doing that at the moment is maybe Larson. Um,
Okay.
I would say that
Interesting.
Blaney could do it, but Blaney just he's too inconsistent.
Hmm.
And he wrecks out too much. But I would say Larson would be the one to do it if anyone was going to do it. And I'm not feeling that from him this year. But I mean, I guess we'll see when we get to some of these real tracks. But so far, he's not off to too hot of a start.
Yeah, Larson's got a lot of work to do, I think. Um, he's got a lot of work to do. I think he DNF'd at both races so far this year.
Yeah.
Or at least the 500 he was very far back where he finished, but Atlanta he crashed out. So he's like I think he's like 20 something in points. He's in the 20s, I believe. Um, so not so hot. Um, I am actually gonna pump the gas, I think. Um, I have an odd feeling. Sorry, the record is 6, actually. Parker corrected me. Hamlin had 6 wins last year. Okay, so I'm gonna pump the gas just because last season, um, I think we saw that record go a little higher because I believe the last record was 5, I think, something like that. Yeah, I think Larson had 5 wins in 24, but anywho, besides the point, I feel very good about the Toyotas this year. I think with the lawsuit behind them, I think 2311 is going to be strong this year. Particularly Reddick. Um, I know that it's easy to say that because he has 2 wins already, but they were out front, or at least in contention, all race long the past 2 weeks. And I feel like that team now has like a better energy around them because they had the lawsuit hanging on them the entire season last year. Because it started the November before that season started. So I think that they're in a much better place mentally, physically, emotionally. Um, I think a team that might struggle this year is JGR, just because I don't know what the hell's going on with them anymore. Ever since like Hamlin fell off, you know, um, a cliff over the off season with everything going on with his parents, and then he retore his shoulder, um, and Bell and Gibbs and Briscoe I'm not so sure I'm sold on them yet. Like Briscoe was fast all season long last year, and I'm sure he'll be fast this year, but um I don't know. JGR has a lot going on, plus the lawsuit too that they're now involved in. So um I think 2311 is gonna have a good year. I think Bubba will win multiple races this year. Hot take. Um, but I think the record will be broken and um, if I had, I'll just keep it in the Toyota camp. I'll keep it there. I won't specify a driver or a team yet, but I'm gonna keep it in the Toyota camp. I think that they're gonna be really strong. I'm not sold on Bell yet. No, I'm not sold on Bell yet. No. Um, I don't know. Just it felt like last year he was uh kind of off a little bit off of his game. So Uh, I'm gonna stick with a Toyota though. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think Hamlin's kind of like the glue that holds JGR together. I think he does a lot more off the track than people realize, and with him obviously not being all there mentally, and I'm sure his involvement with the team is not nearly. as much as it was before. He's
Mhm.
probably just not nearly as motivated to do those things. I think that might be kind of why you see team performance suffer a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think, unfortunately, and I hate to say this, but I think Hendrick's going to get back on their game this year, um, because they changed the body finally. Like they finally caught up, but it's Hendrick. Like they're going to be fast. But last season, I don't know what the hell happened with them, but like I just feel like they were not. Um, I feel like they were not really in a good position to win a lot of races last year. Um, like Byron was good the first half of the season, and then it was kind of a toss up. Um,
Yeah.
like Bowman had his typical year, and then Chase Elliott was like kind of nowhere to be found. Um, and Kyle Larson, like, yes, won the championship, but that was only because William Byron crashed with 2 laps to go. Otherwise, Denny Hamlin was walking away with that championship. So you
Right.
can't tell me that Kyle Larson like dominated the race or that because I see Lego's text or his response. But you can't tell me that just because they won the championship that means that they had like an amazing season. They were all over the place last year. But I do think that um, they will get back to where they were. I believe in 24, maybe 23 ish. They'll kind of get back to that form. I think.
Yeah, I mean, Larson would not be the champion if Byron did not slam the wall with like 2 to go. So
Exactly.
that just shows you
Exactly.
like how bad the format was, but
Yep.
also it just shows you how close Hamlin was to being the champion. So it's like yeah, I don't know. I guess he's the champion, but like I don't know. I'm glad we switched to the chase format.
Oh yeah, me
And I
too.
say that as a Joey Logano fan, and he dominated the playoffs, but
Yeah.
I'm just glad that we switched formats.
Well, there were so many exploitations of the system, though, like Ross Chastain, for example, at Martinsville, like
Yeah.
the Charlotte Roval. So many examples there. Like it's so stupid. Like that whole system was so stupid. I'm so glad they got rid of it though. Um, I think they were quickly finding out on the backside behind closed doors like how much of a cluster what it was causing for um, the organization as a whole. So
Yeah.
um,
I'll be interested to go to Phoenix next week and just kind of see where everybody's at on a real track. I'm not really
yeah,
excited going to Coda this early in the year, but what can you do about it?
yeah, I have never liked Coda, like especially in the next gen car. I'm not a fan, so I'll probably just skip the race and watch the highlights. Um, or I'll keep an eye on it, but like I won't really be keeping an eye on it. Coda's like I feel like one of my least favorite road course races. Um, I really, really enjoy Sonoma more, I think. I feel like Sonoma last year was exciting. Um, but like I don't know. Coda is just not I don't really enjoy it that much. Even with the layout change, I don't really enjoy
Yeah,
it that much. Um, but again, just my take. Just my take. I think we still had room for one more prompt. Did you want to come up with one?
I did actually. I kind of thought of one.
Okay.
Pump the gas or hit the brakes. Tyler Reddick will win the regular season championship.
I'm gonna hit the brakes. That's easy for me. Or pump the brakes. I mean, um, I just think it's too early to tell. I always say this, but the first half is very different from the second half of the season. So the second half of the season is more where like everything picks up more. I feel like, um, and it's where those second half season drivers come out to play. Um, so I don't really know if he's going to win. I know he's in a very good spot right now, obviously, but um, I honestly don't think it will be him winning the regular season championship. No, no.
I think I would hit the brakes as well. But I thought it was an interesting topic because he did win it a few years ago. Um,
Yeah,
and Toyota is pretty fast this year, so he will have a shot. Like I think he'll probably finish top five in points. I don't think he'll fall off a cliff or anything, but I look for some of the drivers that are kind of outside of it right now, like maybe Blaney or Byron or Larson. Some of the drivers like that, I think will get up there before all is said and done.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I'm interested. Oh, I've disconnected. Hold on, everybody. Give me 1 second. Let me get connected back in. This is what happens when you're idle for too long. Oh, there we go. All right. Okay, sorry about that. Um, I have also changed my shirt. Um, Anyhow, I I will be very interested to see um what people think of SVG this year. Um, Connor Zillage, drivers that are kind of still up and coming. I know SVG's been around for a few years now, but I think like he's starting to get the hang of the super speedways and the intermediates and stuff because
Definitely.
he's been up front. He had a couple glimpses of being up front the past 2 weeks already, and I know last year, like on some of the intermediate tracks towards the end of the year, he was doing
On
really,
Vegas,
really
yeah, I
well.
remember
Yeah,
that. He was running like top 5 at, the fall race at Vegas last year.
yeah, yeah. So I'll be very interested to see like what those teams like Trackhouse and maybe like Spire, got to be careful who you say that to right now. Um but teams like that, those two teams I think could be really, really fast this year. So um they could kind of upset everybody. And I mean, like, you take a look at the standings right now, it is the wackiest freaking
Oh,
top
yeah,
16
it's
I've ever
crazy.
seen. You've got
I
Tyler
think
Reddick and
for
Bubba Wallace, and then Elliott, Hocevar, Zane Smith, which is crazy in itself, him being fifth so far. Logano's in sixth. Daniel Suarez is in seventh. Blaney's in eighth. Brad Keselowski's in ninth. Chris Buescher's in 10th. Ross Chastain is 11th. Noah Gregson's 12th, which is, again, crazy. He finished like 30 something last year in the points. William Byron's 13th. Ryan Preece is 14th. Chase Briscoe's 15th. And SVG is 16th. He holds the last spot right now. So, or no, they're, I don't know. It's a little different on the NASCAR website where the cutoff is, but um, yeah, just it's crazy, crazy right now.
yeah, and I mean, like, speaking of the points, you got, like, Cindric, Hamlin, Bell, Gibbs, Bowman, um, they're all below the cut line. Um, I mean, Ty Gibbs is in 33rd place, Bowman's in
Yeah,
32nd. So yeah, like, to me, like, I don't know if I trust Bowman and Gibbs to make up that big of a points gap uh over the course. I mean, I know it's still early, but like
yeah, they still have time.
those they need to make like a big leap from where they've been the past few years to now to make it in.
Yeah,
Because you got to think that the drivers ahead of them are also going to be gaining points. I trust Bell to make it in. He's P31 right now. I think he'll make it in no problem because he'll win a race or two along the way. Um, Cindric also really worries me, and Hamlin a little bit because I don't know where he's at, like physically or mentally.
yeah,
So those are the ones I'm kind of keeping an eye on. And Cindric and Bowman are in contract years as well, so those will
yeah.
be interesting storylines.
I This is just my take. I hope HMS gets rid of Bowman and puts somebody else in
I
the 48 car. To me, he has done nothing for that team the last few years. I'm sorry, but I honestly don't think that um, he deserves that ride anymore. Sorry.
put Kyle Busch in there.
Got to do something. You got to put somebody else in
Honestly,
there. Yeah.
it'd be
Kyle
fun.
Busch, I think, is his time at RCR is kind of coming to an end. So
Yeah, I don't see him there next year. I think
Yeah,
I would love to see Kyle Busch in either the 2 or the 48. Either one, I
yeah,
don't even care.
yeah. I think that would be really cool to watch. Um, all right, let's move on because we got a little bit off topic. Let's
Yeah.
go into our power rankings of the night, and then we'll talk about the races this weekend. Um, I know we're coming up on our kind of our hour mark, so try and keep it brief and short. Um, so you and I actually had the same rankings this week, so I am just going to. Oh wait, no, we did not. Hold
We
on.
we picked the same drivers, it's just they're different because of the,
Oh, I gotcha. I gotcha. Because I was gonna say, hold on. I am actually forgot to download it and save it and put it in as an image. That was the one thing I forgot to do.
I guess
But
we could put both of them up together
yeah, yeah, we can
since
do
they're the
that.
same.
What I was trying to get at though before I ran into that was our power rankings are pretty similar for the week, I would say. Um, and I think that for the most part, um, oh, hold on. Sorry, let me see. For the most part, though, they are pretty similar, I would say. So I wouldn't say that there is too much going on that's different from the both of us. Um, there's Laner's power rankings, and I am getting mine pulled up now while you guys take a look at his. Um, his has Craigus and Land in the same spots. Lego moved up to third. Laner dropped down one spot. Um, and then Parker moved down one spot. Um, what the hell? Sorry. This is like really being a pain in the butt to try and pull up. I don't know why it's being this difficult. Okay, there we go. Parker moved down one spot. I moved up two spots. Um, and Wendigo moved down two spots. Benji moved up one, and Jax moved down two. With mine, the top two stayed the same. Lego Laner stayed the same. Parker stayed the same. I moved up one. Yeah, so really the same. But we obviously, we'll keep these updated as we get closer to the end of the regular season with just a couple of races left. Um, so, if you have questions or concerns about where you see yourself on this list, come talk to us because this is where we put you. So you're going to have to deal with it.
We both agreed on it.
Yep, you're going to have to deal with it. All right. So those are your power rankings for this week's episode. Let's jump into this weekend's races. So we have a double header coming up, and tomorrow kicks off the weekend ahead of racing. Tomorrow's Homestead race is race number one of the doubleheader, and it is 101 laps, 30, 30, 30, 41 for the stages. The pre-race meeting is at 5:50. Practice is at 6. Qualifying is at 6:15, and the race starts at 6:30. So be aware that this is an hour earlier from Friday's race, so don't get your times mixed up. Just saying. Because Friday's race at Bristol, where we are at right now, is 190 laps, so 80. Can't do the math. 89 laps longer. Um, 50, 50, 90 are the stages. Pre-race meeting is at 6:50 p.m. Practice at 7, qualifying at 7:15, and the race is at 7:30. Now, after this weekend, as Laner said earlier, we're gonna have a bye week to prepare and try and figure out what road course will be on the schedule um, coming up, and to work on dirty air packages. But for now, these two races coming up should be the only focus for these drivers trying to make the chase. What do you make of the races coming up this weekend, Laner, and some opportunities for these drivers to earn some good points?
Well, these two tracks couldn't be more different than one another.
Yeah, yeah,
So I think it's a interesting doubleheader. We go to a mile and a half at Homestead, where you can pretty much run any groove of the track and make up time, which I think will be a lot of fun. And I'm really excited for the racing at Homestead.
yeah.
And then the day after, we go to Bristol, where you're pretty much glued to the bottom. And if you go to the top of the racetrack, you're gonna really pay for it. So they couldn't be any more different. They are polar opposites when it comes to the racing, but I think they both present very unique challenges that the drivers will have to tackle.
I agree. I agree. Homestead and Bristol obviously are very, very different tracks, but um, I think that there's a little bit of a kind of I don't know if you want to say like conundrum, but like a little bit of a problem just for the drivers because it's like they're practicing for Homestead tomorrow, but then right after that they have to practice for Bristol. So you don't really have too much time. Um, so again, like we've been emphasizing kind of all season long, if you haven't been practicing, now is your time to practice. The track is wide open. Um, but in all seriousness, you guys have plenty of time to practice all week too to prepare for the race, and practice is very, very important. As we've talked about. But for Homestead, it's going to be a little different too, I think, because these lanes are very different. I think a lot of people are going to tend to run the top lane, but I don't think that there's going to be much passing up there, to be honest. I think the only way to pass is going to be on the bottom lane. I honestly don't think people are going to pass on the top. So, I mean, for running lap times, like if you're the leader, running lap times on the top is ideal. Maybe trying to set the fastest time in qualifying. But to make passes during the race, I think you're going to have to use that bottom lane. So I'm interested to see it tomorrow. Um, Obviously, can't make the race, but I'm interested to see tomorrow kind of how that plays out and how the drivers approach the lane changes.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting what you brought up about practice, because I was kind of thinking about that earlier in the week, that we might see certain drivers perform better at each of these tracks depending on where they put their practice time.
Mhm,
And it'll be interesting to see like what drivers or teams prioritized, because for example, if you put all your eggs in the Homestead basket, you might run really well at Homestead and then not run super well at Bristol,
mhm,
or vice versa, just because practice means so much and it's kind of hard to manage practicing both.
yeah,
So if anybody did put their eggs all in one basket, I feel like they will perform really well at that track, but probably not perform well at the other track, just because, like we mentioned, these tracks are just so different. Um, Me personally, I have prioritized Bristol a little bit more just because I think it's more of a technical track,
mhm,
and it requires precision more from lap to lap. Homestead, it's kind of more simple, I guess.
yeah.
It doesn't really require as much precision, but I think it'll be interesting to see like what the teams prioritized in practice, and how that plays out.
Yeah, and sorry, I was fixing myself. But if the call is four tires, stick with four tires, please. Like, don't experiment this weekend. I feel like we're at that point in the season now where you shouldn't really play around with two tires. It's hard, but like at a track like this, especially, I don't think the call should be two tires. I think it should always be four every single stop. Homestead, eh, like you do whatever the hell you want to do, but um, I honestly think for Homestead, you know, the call in my like if I was crew chiefing, the call would be four tires every time because these two tracks are gonna wear your tires down like crazy, I think. And while you have to think about your car, you also have to think about your competitors. If your competitors are taking 4 tires, you should also be taking 4 tires, because you just put yourself at a disadvantage. Obviously, like we saw with Craigus at Richmond, but um, I feel like that was a much more advanced situation with the type of track we were at. But with these two tracks coming up, if you see everybody sitting on pit road longer, the call should be 4 tires, I think, easily.
Yeah, I agree. And that also kind of goes back to what I was just saying about the practice. It's kind of hard to figure out the data for each of these tracks too, like with tire wear and everything, because there's just so much that goes into preparing for a track. Even when we only have one race a week, these new cars are just so much different. So like really, you want to get everything ironed out, like figure out the tire wear, figure out the lap times, all of that stuff. So it'll definitely be interesting to see how people tackle it. I can't remember if we had a double header earlier in the season. I feel like we did, but I don't really know. I don't even remember. But I
It
think
might
these
have been
tracks will
last season.
present. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't think we've had one this season so far.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I think it'll be a very unique challenge for everybody.
Somebody will correct us in the chat if we're wrong.
Yeah,
We have
I
our
don't really
we have
remember.
live, just so everybody knows, we have live fact checkers at all points during the episode.
Yes,
During every
we
single
do.
episode, we have fact checkers on every single episode. So we are immensely grateful for all of our fact checkers who take the time to study the stats and give us the right information, so we're not spreading misinformation.
Oh, we
Um,
did. Las Vegas and Auto Club.
okay, so we were spreading misinformation. Got it.
I do remember that because we had the lag issues at Auto Club, and then we had to push Auto Club back a day. So I
Okay,
do
I
remember
see.
that.
I see. Um, okay, that makes sense. All right. Um, I don't.
But
Do you want
these
to?
2 tracks are very, very different than Las Vegas and Auto Club. Like, I think
Oh
going
yeah.
from Las Vegas to Auto Club, it's more of like, okay, they're similar, but like going from Homestead to Bristol is like completely different animal. So I
Oh
think
yeah.
this doubleheader will test the drivers a lot more than the original one.
Yeah. It definitely will. I think. We'll have to wait and see. I think drivers are in for a very big challenge this weekend with two very different tracks. So be very interesting to see who comes out of this in victory lane. Um, All right, let's rate the race for this past weekend in Richmond. Um, I honestly can't remember for the life of me who went first the last time, so I'm honestly just gonna let you go first, Laner, if that's okay. But
Yeah, I will I'll say maybe like a 70.
okay,
Um, I wasn't too impressed with the racing product, honestly. I thought it was fun at times, but it was also really frustrating at times because you would just get stuck and there was just nowhere to go. It just felt like you were logging laps and you were doing everything you could to go fast and you would just not make up any ground on the person ahead of you at all.
hmm,
It was just kind of frustrating, honestly. I don't like racing like that. I like it whenever you're able to make passes and use multiple lanes of the track. But the dirty air was a little bit frustrating for me.
yeah,
Also, I wasn't a big fan of the Parker situation. We kind of talked about that earlier. Um, but with all of those things combined, it that's why I gave it a lower score. But it was a feel good ending with Lego getting his first win in a few seasons. So it had a good ending. Just the way we got to that ending, I was not a big fan of.
yeah. Um, I'm gonna give it an 80. I'm gonna go a little higher than you, um, just because while at points I wasn't a fan of the racing, I still think it was a lot of fun. This version of Richmond was actually a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I feel like in the moment I was a little undecided about it, but I think honestly that Um, I honestly really enjoyed it. Um, obviously, situations aside, and the things that we had going on aside, I think I honestly had a lot of fun. Um, I always wondered how it would probably be on the old version, but I'm glad we moved to this version because it's much more modernized and much more updated, I think. So it's like the realism, it felt like a real race. So I think that's why I'm giving it an 80% too. Like it felt like I was actually racing at Richmond. So, you know, there was part of that. Um, but I mean, when I go to Richmond, that's one of my favorite tracks, I think. So I definitely had a lot of fun and can't wait to go back. Hopefully, it's on next next season's schedule, but I guess we'll find out. But yeah, that's I'm gonna give it an 80%.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were a little bit let down that you didn't go out and dominate. But I think that that kind of goes to show that these cars are a lot different. Even for
Yeah,
someone like you used to dominate Richmond in the old car, but these new cars are a whole different animal.
yeah,
So it's like it that just goes to show. I mean, it's a lot different for everybody. So the success you have in the old game does not carry over at all. It's pretty much a fresh slate for everybody.
yeah, for sure. I was not like going in. I was not expecting to dominate just because I knew it was going to be a different feel, a different vibe, just because, again, different car, different version of the track, different competitors, um, different everything. Um, there's different factors in it now. So I knew I wasn't going to dominate. What's interesting to me, though, is how much the track changed over the course of the race. Um, there were comers and goers and people that moved up front that I didn't think would move up front. And I honestly think that like the restarts were very exciting. I was very surprised that there was not as many wrecks as I thought there was going to be, because we were very close on all of the restarts. So um, I honestly think it was very, very close racing, very exciting. And another thing is too is like you could switch back on somebody, like trying to make a pass on them, and
But
I
yeah,
honestly had a lot of fun doing
the
that.
crossovers, yeah.
Yeah, the crossovers were very fun. So overall, 80% I feel like is a good score for me. So I'm content with that.
Yeah,
Um, okay, let's move to our race winner picks. I, I, I mean, I can go first. I don't know if you want me to go first, but
that's fine with me.
okay. Um, I am gonna go with Parker. I'm just gonna say it out of the gate. Well, actually, since we're doing two, I'll pick him for Bristol. I'm gonna pick him for Bristol. For Homestead, I'm gonna go with Land. Um, I feel like Land's my like safe choice. With Craigus out right now at like I don't really know. Um, but like also I don't really know who's practicing right now. I don't know who's and who's dedicating more time to what track. So I don't really
Right.
know what to expect for tomorrow's race at least. But for Bristol, I think that you'll see Lego out front. I think you're going to see Parker out front. Um, and the short track aces, I think you will see out front. Um, I am planning on being in the race, not saying I will be out front, but I feel like I've been running pretty good times at Bristol so far while practicing. But also, I know that you guys raced in the preseason, didn't race there. So it's going to be very different for me kind of racing there for the first time. But those that raced in the preseason at Bristol, I think will be up front. Those that were up front will be up front again, I think. So I'm expecting a lot of the same show. For Homestead, big ass question mark. Could not tell you. Sorry. Could not tell you. But I'll hand it over to you later.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I feel very good about my Bristol pick. Homestead, I think anybody could win.
Yeah.
I think the draft is going to equalize things. I think the lap times that I've seen from all over the board are all pretty similar. There's maybe a few tenths here and there where someone has a small advantage, but nobody has such a big advantage that I don't think the draft will equalize it. So I think Homestead will be really close, and I think it'll probably be more of a track position type race.
Hmm.
Um, so I'll go with Parker for Homestead, just because
Okay.
I think he's been up front a lot, and I think Homestead is a track that I expect him to run up front at. Um, for Bristol, I feel pretty confident in picking Lego, because he won the preseason race there, and I just think that team is going to bring speed this weekend at Bristol. So I got Parker at Homestead and I got Lego at Bristol.
Hmm. Interesting. All right. So Parker's got one for at least um
Yeah.
one
All you
for
gotta
at
do is win
least
one
the
of them,
homestead.
Parker.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? Benji's going off in the chat right now. Who knows? He could potentially win a race.
Hey, if Benji goes and wins, man, he'll prove us wrong.
I know.
Like I
And
hope
that's
you
the
do,
thing.
honestly. Go prove us wrong.
And that's the thing too. We sit up here and we make these picks, but like we don't have stat sheets in front of us. So
Yeah.
I mean, like, we're making them with our best judgment and our best knowledge. So respect our picks and prove us wrong or prove us right, depending on if you're picked or not. So
Yeah. I hope Benji does well. I know that
yeah.
this has been a rough season for him, so I would enjoy seeing him win.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope Benji does well.
Yeah, I fully agree. I hope he does well as well. Um, all right. Well, this was another good episode. Just as a reminder for this weekend, because the times are a little different for tomorrow and Friday. Homestead is kicking off tomorrow night, early evening with 101 laps in the Sunshine State, doing 101 laps. Stages are 30, 30, and 41. Pre-race meeting kicks off at 5:50, practice at 6, qualifying at 6:15, and the race at 6:30. Bristol is on Friday, race number 2, and it is going to be 190 laps. 50, 50, 90 are your stages. With the pre-race meeting at 6:50, practice at 7, qualifying at 7:15, and the race to start at 7:30. I hope y'all enjoy the races this weekend. Thank you guys again for tuning in, and we will talk to you guys hopefully next week. We'll have a lot to talk about next week, so um, keep those storylines interesting. So we'll talk to you
Yeah.
next week. All right.
See you guys.
Have a good night, everybody.